Did we truly land on the moon, or is it the most elaborate hoax in human history? Welcome, truth seekers, as we embark on a journey to explore one of the most enduring debates of our time, the authenticity of the moon landing. The year was 1969, the Cold War was at its peak, and the United States and the Soviet Union were locked in a space race. Then on July 20th, the world watched in awe as NASA's Apollo 11 mission supposedly landed the first humans, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, on the moon. But what if I told you that there are those who believe this monumental event was nothing more than a grand deception? The moon landing conspiracy theory, or the moon hoax as it's often called, isn't a fringe belief. It's held by a considerable number of people around the globe. They argue that the US government, desperate to beat the Soviets in the space race, faked the moon landing. They claim that what we saw on our television screens was not the barren lunar landscape, but a carefully staged scene, filmed here on Earth. These moon hoax theorists put forth various arguments. Some point to perceived anomalies in the moon landing footage, others to the seemingly impossible technology of the time, and yet others to the suspicious behavior of the astronauts upon their return. Each argument more intriguing and controversial than the last. The question then becomes, why has this theory gained such traction? Why does it continue to captivate the public imagination more than half a century after the event? Perhaps it's the allure of the unknown, the thrill of challenging established narratives, or simply the human tendency to question everything. So if the moon landing was a fraud, what evidence supports this theory? As we venture into the heart of this captivating debate, remember, the truth is often stranger than fiction. But whether fact or fiction, the moon landing continues to be a topic of fascination, a mystery that beckons us to unravel it. Dissecting the evidence, we find several intriguing anomalies. Let's start with the flag. The American flag, planted by Neil Armstrong, was seen waving in the lunar wind, or so it seemed. But wait a minute, isn't the moon a vacuum, devoid of atmosphere and hence wind? How could a flag flutter in an environment where there is no breeze to lift it? Next we move to the stars, or rather the lack of them. In all the photos taken by the Apollo astronauts on the moon, there isn't a single star in sight, not one. The black lunar sky is a stark contrast to the vivid images of the stars we're used to seeing from Earth. How could this be? And then, there's the peculiar case of the illuminated astronaut. In one of the most iconic photos from the Apollo missions, Buzz Aldrin is seen descending the lunar module's ladder. The sun is behind the module, putting Aldrin in its shadow, yet Aldrin is brightly lit, as if by spotlight. Shouldn't he be shrouded in darkness, given the sun's position? These are the cornerstone pieces of evidence that conspiracy theorists put forth to claim that the moon landing was an elaborate hoax. The fluttering flag, the starless sky, and the mysteriously lit astronaut are all anomalies that, on the surface, seem to defy logic and science. They are the puzzle pieces that seem to fit neatly into the narrative of a staged, terrestrial moon landing. However, before we jump to conclusions, let's remember that the moon is a different world with its own set of rules. The absence of atmosphere, the harsh sunlight, the lunar dust, all these factors can create visual effects that are counterintuitive to our earthbound understanding. So, are these anomalies really proof of a grand deception? Or are they simply misunderstood phenomena, the result of our limited knowledge about the moon's unique environment? But is there more to these anomalies than meets the eye? The hoax theory, while compelling, faces its own set of challenges. Let's first look at the flag. The claim is that it appears to be waving in the airless lunar environment, suggesting it was filmed on Earth. But the reality is a bit more mundane. The flag had a horizontal rod to hold it out for display, and the ripple effect is simply due to the astronauts' movement of the flagpole, causing a vibration. Now, on to the stars. Or rather, the lack thereof in the photographs. The argument is that the absence of stars in the Apollo mission photos indicates a soundstage. However, the stars were not visible because of the camera settings. The lunar surface, bathed in sunlight, is so bright that the camera's aperture had to be set to a low level, which didn't allow the faint light of the stars to be captured. Then we have the illumination. Some point out that objects in shadow are still visible, suggesting additional light sources typical of a film set. But this is actually a common effect of sunlight in an environment without an atmosphere to scatter light. The lunar dust reflects sunlight onto objects in shadow, illuminating them. And let's not forget about the sheer number of individuals involved in the Apollo project. Over 400,000 people. That's a lot of folks to keep a secret. especially a secret of this magnitude, for over 50 years. Yet, not a single one of these hundreds of thousands has come forward with a credible claim of deceit. Furthermore, the Apollo missions left retro-reflectors on the moon, which can still be used today to bounce lasers off of, measuring the distance between the Earth and the moon. This is concrete evidence that we were there, and it's something that couldn't have been faked. So, where does this leave us? Who do we believe? To understand the moon landing hoax theory, we must delve into the human mind. Conspiracy theories like the moon landing hoax have a certain allure. They offer simple explanations to complex events, playing into our cognitive biases. We are wired to find patterns and make connections even where none exist. This is known as apophenia, the human tendency to perceive meaningful patterns within random data. It's a survival mechanism, but in the realm of conspiracy theories, this tendency can lead us astray. Another cognitive bias we fall victim to is confirmation bias. We tend to seek out information that confirms our pre-existing beliefs and ignore any contradicting evidence. If you already believe that the moon landing was a hoax, you're more likely to latch onto evidence that supports this theory, no matter how flimsy or debunked it might be. But it's not just about cognitive biases. Conspiracy theories also have a cultural and social dimension. They often arise in times of widespread distrust or societal change. They fill in the gaps left by uncertainty and fear, offering a tangible enemy to blame. In a world that often feels chaotic and beyond our control, conspiracy theories provide a sense of order and clarity. Moreover, conspiracy theories can create a sense of belonging. Believing in a theory that most people dismiss can feel empowering. It can make you feel like you're part of an exclusive group that has access to hidden truths. This sense of community can be a powerful draw, especially for those who feel marginalized or unheard. In the end, the moon landing hoax theory tells us more about ourselves than it does about the moon landing. It's a fascinating window into our cognitive biases, our need for simplicity in a complex world, and our desire for community and understanding. As we strive to separate fact from fiction, let's remember, the human mind is a complex and wonderful thing, capable of both great insight and great illusion.